The Audi TT has always been considered something of a designer sports car, which has good and bad connotations. Good because it implies attractive head-turning styling. Bad because some people might consider it a bit of a poser's car. So, enter the TT-RS, a car that is currently the ultimate expression of the TT DNA, but also a TT with real attitude. The TT-RS has high aspirations. It wants to take on and beat the likes of Porsche's highly praised Cayman S and the recently announced BMW Z4 S-Drive 35IS. But it will also happily take on larger sports car prey. With such lofty goals to live up to, it comes as no surprise that Audi has thrown all its technological weight behind the TT-RS. Among its key attributes are a brand new 5-cylinder engine designed specifically for this application. That power plant is linked to quattro all-wheel drive via a perfectly balanced, smooth-shifting 6-speed manual gearbox. Despite all the add-on bits, the RS remains instantly recognizable as a TT. The roofline's trademark arc, the emphasized haunches and the clean contemporary silhouette have remained virtually intact. But equally apparent are the brutish styling elements that are unique to the RS model. The hungry wide-open aperture of the radiator grille is finished in black mesh with only a slim seam of silver to outline the shape. The lights are xenon with curved lenses and daytime running lights. And then there's the body kit, which adds visual aggression and an altogether more extrovert personality compared to the normal TT. The result is a car that acknowledges the TT heritage, but also places a new spin on the sports car ball. Even that big wing oozes authenticity, while the big wheels and fat rubber give the car a powerful planted stance. The standard specification of the TT-RS calls for 18-inch alloys, but the car demands and deserves the added presence of the 19-inch 5-spokers featured here. The rear wing is not only the most apparent departure from the usually understated TT norm, it's also a prerequisite as the RS needs the extra downforce. Gutter-sized tailpipes provide an aggressive final touch, but don't sound nearly as loud as they look. With such an obtrusive approach to exterior styling, you'd expect the cabin to be equally outrageous. But the reality is an interior that promises comfortable, efficient accommodation even when pressing on. The big bolstered bucket seats are shaped for support, the steering wheel has a squared-off lower section for easier entry and exit, and the alloy pedals are perfectly positioned for heel and towing. But this functionality is linked to flagship-style luxury. The RS is the most expensive TT to date, and even then there's an extensive options list to choose from. Our test car was loaded with almost 30,000 rands of extras, including sat-nav, metallic paint, and those 19-inch forged aluminium wheels. Like all TTs, the RS remains very much a two-seater, although the luggage compartment's useful 290 litres can be extended to 700 litres by folding down the occasional rear seats. Build quality is peerless, and the interior with its rotary switches and sporty dials feels more bespoke than standard Audi cabins. But let's get down to business, and in this instance the business end is at the front, where Audi have wedged in a transversely mounted 5-cylinder engine. An engine that is reminiscent of the glory days of the Audi Quattro S2 rally car, and with an urgent, insistent beat that is quite unlike anything you've ever heard. Power comes to 250 kilowatt at 5,400 RPM, while the torque peak of 450 Newton meters is already on stream by 1,600 RPM. Other niceties include twin overhead camshafts actuating 4 valves per cylinder, an all-aluminium construction, and direct fuel injection in the interests of efficiency. The latter appears to be confirmed by the combined fuel consumption figure of 9.2 litres per 100 kilometers and the CO2 output statistic of 214 grams per kilometer. But in reality, those figures are completely out of reach, because any red-blooded motoring enthusiast will be making the most of the performance potential on offer. And that performance potential is considerable. This car does a 0 to 100 time in 4.6 seconds, thanks to that incessant shove of the turbo engine, and of course also the slick shifting 6-speed gearbox. Top speed is limited predictably to 250 kilometers an hour, but if you tick a 20,000 Rand options box, you can have that moved up to 280 kilometers an hour. Just what one would do with the extra top speed potential on our pothole-scarred roads beats me, but it does add to the car's bragging rights. Much more important is the instant response of the car to driver input. The engine's delivery is lag-free and linear, with huge reserves of tractability. The steering feels direct and nicely weighted, and the grip of the Quattro system adds predictability and reassurance when pushing hard. All of that translates into a grin-inducing driving machine. The levels of traction are immense, and there's no body roll to speak of. If you push it hard into a corner, the car will remain very much neutral, perhaps going into a slight bit of oversteer, but even that's very easy to control. The result is a car that always entertains and delights, but especially on smooth surfaces and through high-speed corners. The ride quality is marginal on rougher roads though, and ground clearance is compromised too. But give it space on a decent road with a couple of twisties thrown in, and the TT-RS is a supreme driving tool. Which brings us back to where this all started. Is the TT-RS really good enough to take on Porsche's Cayman S? Well, on paper at least, the Porsche has got less power, and as a result it's slower. It's also two-wheel drive, whereas the TT-RS has got Quattro four-wheel drive. So the odds are really stacked against the Porsche. But unfortunately, we have yet to persuade Porsche in South Africa to give us a Cayman S to try out. For now, the TT-RS sets the class standard. It may lack the cachet of the Porsche brand, but it offers more for less in almost every other category. With 250 kilowatt from a bespoke 5-cylinder turbo engine, a manual gearbox, Quattro all-wheel drive and ample downforce, the TT-RS is quick in a straight line and through the twisties. Add the resolute styling, a cosseting if understated interior, and this is a car that oozes appeal and driver satisfaction. It lacks Porsche's image, but may just be the better, cheaper all-rounder.